So, as I was getting ready for the sit tonight, this idea of decolonizing the mind came up for me. Decolonizing the mind and body. And what does that mean? Well, from the time that we're born, we live in a world of stories. Stories about what the world is. Stories about who we are. Stories about what other people are, what other beings are, what the purpose of life and our point in being here is. Stories. We're hearing stories about all of these things from a time that we're so young we have no capacity, no resources or skills to filter out what's real and true, what's not real or not true, what's partially real or partially true, or temporarily or subjectively or situationally true or not true. We just have stories. When we're young and things happen, we don't understand, we're confused by what happens. We're human beings, and so we seek understanding, we seek meaning. And one of the ways that we do this is by telling our own stories. When we're children, our capacity, our ability to tell stories isn't very nuanced. It's not very complex or subtle. We're just coming to experience the nature of the arising of self. And so when we're young, the vast majority of stories that we tend to tell are stories about me, about ourselves. When something difficult happens, we experience cruelty, or we don't get the thing that we want, or someone is unkind to us, or somebody dies. It's a natural thing for a child to create a story of meaning that's centered around ourselves. If I could just do something better, if I could just be a good little boy or girl, a good person, or if I could just be a quiet person, or if I could just be a superstar, then that bad thing wouldn't have happened, or that person would be nicer, or I would have gotten the thing that I wanted. And sometimes we tell the story that it's just because I was born without something fundamentally lacking or broken, dysfunctional. Or maybe we tell a story about how we were born with too much of something. I'm too noisy, I'm too energetic, I'm too curious. That's why these terrible things happen. And when we tell these stories as a young person, when we have stories told to us by people that we trust, our parents, our teachers, well, when we're young, pretty much any grown-up, because they know, right? They understand all of this stuff that's so confusing. Then we take those stories as some kind of fundamental truth and we weave it in. And this is how our minds, our bodies, are colonized by ideas. When we're young, we don't have the means or the capacity or the resources or the support to investigate those stories any further. If they seem to work, we just operate by them, and soon they disappear below the surface of our minds. And we begin a life thinking we're not enough, or maybe we're too much. We can be both simultaneously. Both unworthy of love and too pushy, demanding, all at the same time. And those stories that are being told by the world, by our culture, by society, by advertising agencies and companies that want your money, they're happy to reinforce those stories. And if we never stop, if we never take the time to stop, to sit down, to allow all of the stories to settle down, to quiet down, if we never take the time to cultivate the spaciousness of mind and body, we can be chased through our whole lives. We can be drawn into fights. We can be dragged around by desires for our entire lives, right up until we die, maybe beyond. And the remedy, one remedy, the remedy that begins with Zen meditation, is just this simple act of taking up a balanced, stable seat, bringing our awareness to the breath, and allowing all of it to just settle down. In Buddhism, there's a story that I've always really loved, and you never really hear people talk about it. The Buddha talked about the king of the geese. And the king of the geese had this amazing superpower. It said that the king of the geese could be fed a mixture of milk and water that was mixed in a jug and shaken. And you could pour it into the mouth of the king of the geese. And with his wonderful golden beak, he would filter out the milk so that he would only swallow the water. All of us have a constant stream being poured into our mouths through social media, through parents, through culture, through through news, all of these things. And some of it's milk, which in the case of a goose is something they can't really process. Some of it is clear water, the source of life. And if we could just get one or the other, maybe it would be easy to discern. Maybe it would be easy for us to be more clear in our life, but In my life, I haven't seen a source of either, even the wisest people that I've gone to as teachers. And this, I want you to hear, as you sit here listening to me talk, goes for me too. Each and every person in this room needs to cultivate the capacity of the king goose. We need to cultivate the capacity to discern what's poison and what is medicine. We cannot cultivate this capacity until we reach within our own mind, our own heart, until we allow all of the stories that we've been consuming voluntarily and involuntarily since time out of mind, allowing them all to come to stillness, until we're able to just be with the activity of what's happening right now. The flickering of the candles, the gentle movement of our bodies, the sounds of traffic in the distance, without stories, without a need to force meaning onto any of it. As we sit, my experience is there is a continuous uprising of stories. Stories about the past, stories about the future. And they're all fine. We have beautiful minds that are active and imaginative, creative. What's important is that we understand that they're all stories. That through coming to this still point, we begin to cultivate a capacity to discern. To discern what's an old story, what's a story that maybe at some point was helpful, allowed us to survive or continue. And what are stories that that just like me when I move are like a whole collection of books that don't have much relevance anymore? So, Zen can really seem like harsh sometimes. It can really seem like we make a fuss of small things, little movements, or how cushions are laid out. But as you sit, as you develop a practice, you'll come to see that the mind is an incredibly observant capacity. Our consciousness is an incredibly perceptive capacity. And with everything that we perceive, we immediately begin to tell stories. When we come together in a group to practice, we're stepping into relationship. We're stepping, we're not stepping into relationship. We're always in relationship. We're stepping into an intentional awareness of the relationships that we already have. And as such, When we step in the door of the meditation hall, we accept our responsibility to one another in a community of practice. We accept a commitment that I'm going to do everything I can to support you to cultivate this capacity, to cultivate awareness, to cultivate compassion, to cultivate wisdom. I'm going to do everything I can to support you to decolonize your mind and your body and your life. I'm going to behave in such a way that I'm not distracting you, that I'm creating a deeper space that we all benefit from. So every time I come to the Zendo, every time anybody shows up that wants to engage in this practice, I just feel gratitude. I feel a story that I'm being held with care. I'm being supported to do this practice. I'm being encouraged to wake up, to step more deeply into my life, into a life that can be medicine, that can be healing, that can bring reconciliation in my relationships with all beings. So thank you.